continuous curvilinear capsulorhexis forms an integral part of modern-day phacoemulsification. The size, position and integrity of rhexis is of paramount importance in IOL placement and long-term visual recovery. There are many clinical situations in which an ideal rhexis is not obtained. In this video, we showcase a few such clinical situations where there was difficulty in performing capsulorhexis and how they were successfully managed. This is a case of hypermature intermittent cataract with small pupil, where iris hooks were used. As you can see, on making the first nick on the anterior capsule, loose cortex is seen oozing into the anterior chamber, which was cleared with viscoelastic. Irrigation aspiration cannula was used to decompress the bag and aspirate loose cortex. Rhexis was then completed with a micro-rhexis forceps. Phacoemulsification is being performed in a routine manner. But then, size of the rhexis is not adequate, and such small rhexis can lead to capsular phimosis. To prevent this, an enlargement of the rhexis is made so that the edge of the rhexis just overlaps the edge of the optic of the intraocular lens. Care has to be taken at this particular point not to allow a rhexis extension, because then the IOL becomes decentered. This is another hypermature white cataract where a small rhexis is being initially done and the capsular bag is decompressed by washing out some of the fluffy cortex. The anterior chamber is filled with a combination of HPMC and viscoat. And a second rhexis is now being performed. A micro-rhexis scissor and a micro-rhexis forceps provides a good chamber stability to perform the second capsulorhexis. This is another case where a small rhexis has been performed, and once the capsular bag is decompressed like before, a second rhexis is being done. But please note, even the size of the second rhexis is not adequate, and after phacoemulsification and implantation of the intraocular lens into the capsular bag, the rhexis is now being extended once again to get what we call a triple rhexis. In order to get an adequately sized rhexis and good long-term intraocular lens centration, the chamber has to be well formed with cohesive viscoelastic while doing this maneuver, as there is increased chance of rhexis runoff to periphery. In this case, while trying to decompress the bag after performing a micro-rhexis, there has been a rip of the anterior capsule, but fortunately the rip did not go up to the periphery, and it could be retrieved into a normal-sized capsulorhexis. And phacoemulsification in this case proceeds in a routine fashion. This is a case of an intermittent cataract. While performing micro-rhexis, the entire anterior capsule rips off to give the typical Argentina flag sign. Here, both the sides of the rip are being fashioned into a capsulorhexis and phacoemulsification can safely be done in such situation. Again, care has to be taken to form the chamber well while doing such fragile capsule maneuvers. Once phacoemulsification has been done and the intraocular lens placed in the bag, the size of the Rhexis can be modified like in this case where the upper part of the Rhexis is extended so as to provide a good opening for the lens. There arise clinical situations once in a while where there is a significant corneal opacity and this makes visibility of the Rhexis very difficult. This was a case of extensive pannus and vascularization of cornea where in spite of staining the capsule with trypan blue, visibility is very poor. By using coaxial illumination and doing capsulorhexis very slowly, keeping an eye on the faintly visible Rhexis margin, adequately sized Rhexis can be achieved in this situation. As visibility is very poor, phacoemulsification also has to be done very carefully and IOL is placed into the bag. New marking devices like the Varion are available to give an adequate sized capsulorhexis. Here, the size of Rhexis is projected onto the cornea by using LED lights and this helps us to do an adequately sized and well-centered Rhexis. Phacoemulsification has become the norm of modern-day cataract surgery, and continuous curvilinear capsulorhexis is one of the most important and decisive steps. Achieving an ideal Rhexis is possible in majority of cases, but in certain clinical situations, special care has to be taken to make a good capsulorhexis, not only to ensure good placement of IOL in the bag, but also for long-term good visual outcome.